What up, what up, what up? It's the PAC, man. All things physician associate. And in this video, I want to reiterate on some pros and cons on W-2 versus 1099, man. And so pros, as a W-2 employee, you're an employee. And that says a lot, you know, like you're entitled to employee benefits, assuming that company offers it. So like, for example, like health insurance, liability insurance, dental insurance, 401k, paid time off, sick time, short-term disability, whatever that company may offer, you're entitled to those benefits as a W-2 employee. So that's a big pro. Another pro is that your employer is responsible for paying half of your taxes. So let's use a whole number like $100,000 a year. If you're, let's say, taxed in a 30% tax bracket. So let's say you owe Uncle Sam $30,000 a year. Your employer has to pay half of that for you, right? They pay half of your Social Security, half of your federal taxes, half of your state if it applies to your state, half of your city tax if it applies to your state. And so that's amazing. That's great in that sense, right? For sure. So those are two pros. Two cons. The money's getting taken out of your account, or the money's getting taken out of your check before it ever hits your account. So you really don't have any control of your taxes whatsoever. And so that's not a con for some people, and that's why there's a lot of W-2 employees out there. It's a perfect it's not I'm not favoring one from another today. I'm trying to just remain as unbiased as possible. And so your taxes are removed from your account, so you never have any control. I can tell you this much: it's easier as a 1099. They don't take any taxes out of your check when they give you the money for whatever work you did. You're responsible for paying your own taxes. So it's easier to tell Uncle Sam that I can't pay you this much, man. I got a lot of stuff going on, man. Here's what I can give you. And versus the money's already been taken out, and then now you're trying to justify why you need it back. Once Uncle Sam gets a thirst for that, once they got a taste of the blood, it's hard to get it back, man. It's not impossible, but you're not gonna get as much back as you would want. So that's a con. Another con is that, again, you're an employee, so you're very fixed as far as schedule goes. You know, hey, if they say Monday through Friday 9 to 5 every other Saturday, or you need to take call twice a week, whatever the schedule is, that's what it is, man. You agree to it. You're employed by me now. You need to work whatever I say you need to work, right? So that's a con, really. It's just no freedom. Doesn't mean all W-2 employees have a bad schedule. You know, it could be just a standard office, like private practice, where they're only open Monday through Friday 9 to 5, and they don't take call, and that's pretty sweet, not bad. But just know, you need a day off, you need to request it like any other employee. You know, give them notice and see if they have coverage and all this extraness, whatever. I'm gonna call that a con. As a 1099, pros to a 1099 is that you control your taxes. So you get to tell Uncle Sam how much you're willing to pay him based off of your current life situation, right? And there's a lot of write-offs because you're self-employed. There's a lot more leniency for you as far as what you're responsible for paying. And so that's a pro. Another pro is that you're not an employee, so you're a contractor. So technically, if you couldn't work, let's say a Monday anymore, you decide, I need Mondays off, I need a longer weekend. Technically, that employee, that person, whoever hired you to work, they can't really do anything about that. Now, mind you, if you needed a plumber to come to your house on Saturday to fix a leaky faucet, and that person says, I can't come in this Saturday, after they already said they were, you may just call another plumber, right? And that's essentially the same risk you run with this. If you decide, hey, I don't want to come in on Saturdays anymore, I don't want to come in on a Monday anymore, that person may just find another PA, right? So that's kind of the risk. It's easier to find a plumber than it is a PA man, an experienced PA man. So I use that as an example so you can kind of get an idea that, you know, you have more freedom as far as if you decide you wanted to take, you know, a 3-week vacation. As a W-2 employee, if you only have 2 weeks paid vacation, then that's all you have is 2 weeks. Can't take 3. 3's out of the question. But if you're a 1099, 3 weeks means that either way you're not getting paid while you're off, right? So you don't get paid time off. That's a benefit that employees get. You're not an employee. So then if you take 3 weeks off, then that's 3 weeks that you're saying that you're fine with not getting paid for. And technically that employer can't really do much about it, in the sense that you don't really work there. You're contracted to be there. That's different. Anyways, I think that's a pro. A con is that you don't have benefits. So you're responsible for your own liability insurance, health insurance, all that stuff adds up, man. So it's either you pay heavily for that stuff or you opt to not have it, which is probably worse in most cases, right? To not have health insurance or liability insurance sucks, man. And so that's certainly a con. And then another con is that you're responsible for paying all the taxes yourself, right? So remember, as a W-2 employee, your employer pays half of your taxes for you, but as a 1099, you're responsible for 100% of your taxes now. So if your employer used to pay 7.5% Social Security and you pay the other, 7.5%, now you're responsible for paying the whole 15%. So it's tricky in that sense. Another pro is for 1099 is that you can claim a lot more stuff, right? For instance, if you work at a hospital, your work address is the hospital address. Your work phone, your work everything is the actual hospital, right? You work there, or the clinic, or whatever the case may be. But if you're self-employed, then who's to say that that spare room in your house is not your office, right? So then if that's your office, then your work phone is your cell phone, your work internet is your home internet, your work electricity is your home electricity. Everything at home really becomes a write-off. And as opposed to if you work at a location like the hospital, then what are you really able to write off? The gas it took to get there, or a percentage thereof, the tire maintenance, oil maintenance, things like that, like car maintenance and things of that nature, is what you're able to write off, which isn't bad. But you have a lot more write-off options as a 1099. Like if I go to dinner with a friend, who's to say that wasn't a business meeting? So right, if we're discussing how to scale the business, or how, anything, there's just a million ways to skin a cat with 1099. So there's that pro, and if you I'll give you one more example. If you decide to go on vacation to, I don't know, New York, assuming you're not already from there, let's say you fly to New York City for the weekend, and while you're there, you make one Zoom call. That's a business trip. That means that hotel you're staying in is a write-off. The flight there is a write-off. Everything you eat while you're there is a write-off. So I mean, it's infinite possibilities of write-off. So that's a major pro. And then the last thing I like to leave you with, footnote-wise, is that paying 100% of your taxes is tough, especially when you think about paying 100% of your taxes plus having to pay for your own liability insurance and health insurance, and plus if you end up needing to take a sick day off, you're not getting paid for it, so your check's just going to be shorter and shorter. it could get bad, man. So these are definitely things to consider. A way to kind of to buffer all of that is to set up an S corporation. That's essentially an LLC that's filed to the U.S. government as an S corporation. S corporation, an LLC means you can file an LLC 3 ways. Sole proprietor means I am the only person that profits, so I'm the sole person who profits from this business. Meaning, let's say I'm a plumber. If you call this phone number and ask for a plumber, it's just me. So what do you need? Your toilet's leaking? I'll go fix it. That's a sole proprietor. An S corporation means I have employees. Meaning, if you call this number and you ask for a plumber, I'll send the plumber out. I employ people or contract plumbers to go and fix the problem, right? That's an S corporation. That's really where you want to be. The other type is a C corporation. Doesn't really apply well. It can, but not likely. But S corporation is where you want to be. You're telling Uncle Sam you have employees. So who are your employees? Yourself. You are the staffing company that employs PAs or nurse practitioners to go and do the work. No different from like a travel nurse, right? The hospital calls the staffing agency, pays them $100 an hour, and then the staffing agency finds a nurse to send to go and do the gig and pays them $50 an hour, and they kept the 50. Same thing applies. If let's say the doctor pays you $50 an hour, and then you hire yourself to go and see the patients for $25 an hour, the corporation keeps 50% of that money, and that's different. Those are corporate taxes, those are capital expenses. That's an entirely different video in and of itself that I should probably make at some point. But so then you're only paying, like I said, as now that you're employing yourself, you have to pay half of your employee's taxes, which is yourself. So again, you're paying the whole 100% of the taxes, but of only a fraction of the full, let's say, amount of money that's made for that year. I know that sounds a little bit confusing. Let me know if anybody needs me to make a specific video on corporate taxes or more specific on just structuring your 1099. By the way, this is not financial advice, but just if I make a video on it, it's basically just telling you how I have my current situation set up. All right. Anyways, man, much love, man. I hope this video finds you well, and best of luck. Let me know if you have any questions or whatever in the description, in the comment section below, man. Peace.